Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering the Spirited Sports Show, which is the fourth episode of the new Scooby-Doo movies, Season 2, and this episode originally aired on September 29th, 1973. This episode sees the gang back in Velma's old hometown, where she's visiting her former high school, and this high school is haunted currently by a ghostly athlete. Tim Conway also guest stars as the high school coach in this episode. Tim Conway was a famous comedian known for his slapstick humor and dry humor as well. I'm not too familiar with Tim Conway. He was well before my time, so if you're a big Tim Conway fan, please excuse my ignorance. I basically knew him as Dorf, which was this smaller statured, when I saw him, like he was a golf instructor, and they put out VHS tapes that were kind of funny. There'd also be like infomercials for these tapes you could watch as well and order them through the TV back in the day. And my friends had a couple of these Dorf tapes. The one I watched the most was Dorf on Golf, and I enjoyed that growing up. He's also famous amongst us younger people as the voice of Barnacle Bob on SpongeBob SquarePants show. Anyway, Mr. Conway unfortunately passed away in 2019. This episode is often cited as one of the best new Scooby-Doo movies, episodes at least by Scooby fans, so I'm excited to watch this one. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the review. The episode begins with the gang driving through Velma's hometown. There they are on their way to Velma's old high school for the All Sports Day benefit show.
Here it is, my hometown. We're going back to my old high school for the All Sports Day benefit show.
It is incredibly foggy out, and Freddy is almost flattened by a bulldozer. Daphne suggests they get the driver's license number, but Velma points out that nobody is even driving the vehicle. They finally reach the high school, and they spot a sign that says, "Danger, no trespassing." More construction vehicles are driving about, and they scare Freddy and the gang off as no one is driving them.
Look!
A bulldozer! It could have flattened us like pancakes.
Nobody was driving it.
Ghosts?
Who ever heard of ghosts driving a bulldozer?
Take it easy, guys. The school's just ahead.
Danger. No trespassing.
Go back. Go back.
The gang then head off to the sports stadium, which is deserted. Walking inside, they meet Jesse Finster, the school custodian. Jesse explains the old custodian has disappeared suddenly, and the sports show is postponed due to the haunting of Fireball McFane. Freddy then remembers Fireball was a super athlete 30 years ago that suddenly and mysteriously disappeared.
Well, here we are at the sports stadium.
That's strange. They're supposed to be having tryouts tonight, and it's deserted.
It can't be. Not with the All Sports benefit show scheduled for tomorrow.
Ah, but it is.
Who are you?
Jess Fenster, the school custodian.
You're not the same custodian I remember when I was here.
You mean old Clemens? Well, miss, he, disappeared quite suddenly.
So what's with the sports show?
I'm afraid it's been postponed due to haunting.
Ah, you're kidding.
Does that sound like I'm kidding? That's the spirit of Fireball McFane. You must leave now.
We came all the way here to help raise funds for my old alma mater, and no spirit's gonna spook us.
Fireball McFane. Now I remember. He was a super athlete about 30 years ago who suddenly disappeared.
Well, don't look now, Fred, but he just reappeared.
Fireball then shows up and gives the gang a little scare.
Well, now that you have witnessed the great Fireball McFane, what do you think?
Tim Conway then shows up and explains he's the new coach. In order to prepare for a new role of a coach in a movie, Tim has to become one. Unfortunately, he has no team as the stadium is haunted and everyone has been scared off.
Hey, gang! It's Tim Conway play the famous movie star.
We just happen to be ghost-chasing athletes.
Nobody will ever play sports in this stadium again.
Big cracks.
Back at the high school, they talk with Mr. William Griffith, the school principal. The principal does not recognize Velma, which Velma finds a little bit unusual. Mr. Griffith explains that the school is being closed down as they don't have enough financial aid. They had recently built a new stadium, but in order to continue to get funding, the school needs a championship team. The only way to raise money is through the All Sports Benefit Show. Mr. Teller, the man who is donating money to the school, then shows up and explains he's discontinuing his grants to the school, so the land must be sold.
Remember me? Velma?
Have we met?
Sure. You were principal when I went to school here.
Oh, yes, welcome back. You see, our small school can't operate without outside financial aid. Were it not for the help of Mr. J. Tellers, the millionaire sportsman, who would have closed last year. Remember our dilapidated old stadium here?
Sure. That's the old place.
Yes, before Teller built the ultra-modern one you see today. But there was one condition.
What was the one condition?
That I create a championship sports team. Now my only chance to keep the school open is to raise money through the All Sports Benefit Show. Mr. Teller!
I'm afraid there are no more chances. You failed to produce a champion sports team, and now you've canceled the benefit show. I'm sorry, but I'll have to discontinue my grants to the school.
Then it's all over. The school will be closed and the land sold.
Tim Conway calls a meeting in the gym where he shows off his coaching skills to win Mr. Teller over. The gang then convince Mr. Teller that Scooby and Shaggy are world-class athletes.
He just happens to have the world's greatest athletes.
Huh. And who might that be?
Shaggy and Scooby.
Mr. Teller walks away laughing, and Coach Conway gets down to business in training Scooby and Shaggy. Fireball then shows up and gives the cowardly duo some ghostly motivation where they run about the stadium in fear and break dozens of sports records.
Oh, you dare to show up the great Fireball McFain by breaking my record. But now nobody shall ever know of your achievement. That takes care of those two.
Unfortunately, Mr. Teller misses the entire demonstration, but explains he'll be watching the benefit show tomorrow to decide if he donates his money or not. Mr. Finster, the school custodian, then shows up and warns the gang once more. Finster explains years before Mr. Griffiths was a principal, he was an Olympic judge who disqualified Fireball out of the Olympics for cheating. Thus, Fireball is out for revenge. Fireball then shows up as a ghost in the popcorn machine, and Mr. Finster explains he's had enough and leaves. He also suggests the gang do the same.
So, you're not afraid of Fireball McFain's ghost, eh?
Mr. Finster!
The school custodian.
Sorry for laughing, kids, but it struck me funny the way that ghost has everyone terrified around here. McFain's spirit is everywhere. He could be watching us right now.
Well, just why is the spirit making such a fuss?
Revenge. Years ago, before Mr. Griffiths became principal, he was an Olympic judge.
Was he the same judge who disqualified McFain for cheating?
Exactly. Now Fireball's ghost is out to ruin the school, just as Griffiths ruined his career. I'm leaving now, and you must do the same.
Scooby and Shaggy continue their haunted training, while Freddy and the girls go out and look for clues. In the locker room, they find a secret passage that leads into the basement. Down there, they find a mock-up of the school, which has a racehorse on the school track. A television turns on where Fireball laughs and sends the gang down into a cavern by way of a trap door.
Nothing here but a mock-up of a school.
A racehorse on a school track?
Free down, free to go.
In the cavern, our trio finds the construction vehicles that scared them off earlier. Scooby, Shaggy, and Tim Conway get further frightened and also end up in the cavern.
Oh, So you think you can outrun Fireball McFain, eh?
In the cavern, they find another model racetrack, which Velma picks up as a clue. Tim Conway flips on a TV and realizes that the TV remote controls the vehicles.
I am a clue. I mean this model racetrack. It almost looks like the school and stadium.
Hey, everybody. Let's watch TV. I'll try other channels.
It's a remote control device for the bulldozer. Watch this. Yay! We made it!
Freddy then uses the bulldozer to escape from the cavern. The gang then continue their training and Mr. Teller shows up to congratulate them from not leaving out of fright. Velma gives Mr. Teller a speaking to and suggests that he's behind the haunting as the construction vehicles belong to his company.
Another scare tactic, Mr. Teller? We found out those mysterious bulldozers that scare everyone away are owned by your company.
Yeah, and if the school is closed, you'd naturally take back the stadium land you donated.
Thus, he wants his land back, and using the haunting is going to make it happen. We get one long and final chase scene, and Freddy and the girls capture the ghost in a musical cello case.
There's no way to save the school or yourselves now.
We're surrounded by ghosts. Yoo-hoo! Come and get me!
With pleasure.
I'd say the case is closed.
It came from in there.
They also find Principal Griffiths tied up in his office, along with a rubber mask of Fireball and some paperwork.
These are just the clues we need.
Thank you.
So it's you!
Despite Fireball being caught, Coach Conway, Scooby, and Shaggy also catch another Fireball McFain. Confused, they know they'll get to the bottom of things as the police show up. Threatened by Velma's claims Mr. Teller had called the police, Freddy and Mr. Conway unmask the ghosts, and one is Mr. Griffiths, the school's principal's twin brother, and the other is his accomplice, a shady gambler. Mr. Griffith's twin's plan was to take over the school and use the haunting so they could buy the school cheap and then bulldoze it down so they could have an instant horse racetrack. They also use projectors to project ghosts onto the fog so they can make Fireball McFain appear everywhere. Mr. Teller plans on doubling his yearly grant and the school is saved.
Ta-da!
A school principal? I can't believe it.
You're right. It isn't the principal. It's his twin brother.
My crooked twin brother. He and his partner, a shady gambler, made me prisoner and took over the school.
They used the ghost gimmick so their backers could buy the school cheap.
Yes, for a gambling operation. All they had to do was bulldoze down the school and presto, an instant racetrack.
They even hired your company's bulldozers, Mr. Teller.
Hoping to make everyone think I was behind their crooked scheme.
But first, Scooby and Shaggy must perform in front of a sold-out audience. Freddy dresses up as Fireball to give the two some haunted motivation, where the two eventually put on a fantastic show. With another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode a 6 out of 10. I know a lot of Scooby fans love this one, and a lot of sports fans love this one as well, but I just kind of found it meh for me, and I think it has a lot to do with the ghost. For me, the ghost just looks like a regular man from the 40s. He's just wearing some tennis shoes, some green shorts, and a tank top. Had this ghost had a better design, like the ghost that sacked the quarterback episode, which is a football-themed episode, looked like a zombie in a football outfit, I would have given this one a higher rating for sure, probably an 8. What I did enjoy was the backstory of Velma going back to her old high school. I thought that was cool. I always like seeing a little bit of history about Scooby-Doo characters and a little more about who they are, and I enjoyed this quite a bit. And the plot was pretty good too. I mean, I give it a 6, but the 6 is more for lack of spookiness and a villain rather than like the plot. I still enjoyed this episode. It's just not my favorite out of this season so far. Tim Conway was also excellent and fun to watch. I liked how he kept trying to quit and he couldn't quit. No one would ever hear him, or he'd just speak at the wrong time. And I liked his self-depreciating humor. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed this episode. I just found the ghost lacking. This isn't a scary looking ghost. Maybe this one will grow on me a little more when I do my final ranking, but right now, 6 out of 10. For me, it's always the villain. The villain makes or breaks an episode or a movie. For example, what's The Lion King without Scar, or Star Wars without Darth Vader? And once again, I want to thank everyone for any views, likes, subscribes, and shares. It's always great to see my views go up. It means you appreciate what I'm doing. These episodes do take me a lot of time to put together. These episodes are, especially these comedy movies, these new Scooby-Doo movies, they take several hours to do. So I appreciate everyone kind of being loyal and watching and commenting on my ranking videos and all that. I appreciate that a lot. Anyway, until next week when I will be covering The Exterminators, stay spooky.